Hello you lovely lot, my name is Max and welcome back to my YouTube channel and another Nottingham Forest match preview. Today talking about our playoff semi-final first leg against Sheffield United. Yes, we are back after a week off to talk about our playoff semi-final against Sheffield United. In this video we're going to specifically be talking about the first leg, detailing a little bit of backstory behind Sheffield United's campaign so far and what to expect as Forest fans on the day. Pretty similar to our normal match preview structure, and in the second leg we're going to be doing an in-depth analysis of the first leg, talking about where the game went wrong, where it went right hopefully, and then talking about how that impacts the second leg of our clash at the City Ground on Tuesday. And of course after that I'll also be doing a preview for the playoff final should we get that far, so hopefully look for that in your sub boxes coming in the next few weeks. As usual though, we'll be kicking off with a little bit of admin, and I thought today would be a really good opportunity to talk about the under-18s FA Cup final that took place on Wednesday. I was very lucky to be in attendance in the away end at Old Trafford. I had a really good night there, and I'm going to splice some footage in there as I talk about the game, because it was a really good game despite the loss unfortunately for the Reds. So of course before we get into any of that, I will leave the time code on screen so you can skip forward to the Sheffield United section if you're here just to listen to me talk about our playoff semi-final. And of course if you're new around here, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel whilst you're down there. It'll be greatly appreciated. We're getting very close to 600 subscribers, and hopefully heading into the next season we can get up to 1,000 in the meantime. And with that being said, let's start talking about firstly the under-18s FA Cup final and also our playoff semi-final against Sheffield United. So yes, we're going to start this video talking a little bit about that under-18s FA Cup final. Unfortunately, a game in which the Reds fell to a 3-1 defeat against Manchester United at Old Trafford. Goals from United came from Reece Bennett and a double from first team player now Alejandro Garnacho. But we did manage to pull one back just before half time to make it level as we went into the break. Josh Powell with a really nice left-footed strike, beating the keeper at the near post. Keeper should have probably done a bit better in fairness, but really good on Powell to get the goal on the day. And I want to talk about specifically Garnacho's first goal, that penalty. You will have seen if you're a Forest fan, or probably a fan of football in general, the images going around of the penalty that was given for Manchester United on the day. Referee has had an absolute nightmare, I've got to say. If you look at it, I might put it up on screen, it was a good metre outside the box. It was one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I mean, I was sat in the away end, so I was all the way down the other end of the pitch, and you could just see from there that it was never a penalty. And Garnacho converted it and did the Ronaldo celebration, which little bit embarrassing if you ask me, even if he's a kid, little bit embarrassing. And unfortunately that kind of spurred United's little sort of final 20 minutes or so of the game in which they got another one through Garnacho and eventually prevailed in the FA Cup final. That's all I really want to say on it though, because I want to focus mainly on our under-18s. The lads did themselves so proud. The away end was absolutely buzzing. We took about 6,500, 7,000 fans with us to the match, and really, I think they could tell that the support was there behind them. I wanted to cover a couple of players specifically in a bit more detail. Dale Taylor, Josh Powell, who got the goal, Sam Collins and Farrell Johnson. They were the four in particular who I was the most impressed with on the day. Taylor looks like he could probably play first team football already at this stage of his career. Could be interesting maybe to see him mix things up next season, get the opportunity maybe, especially with some of our loan signings and ends of contracts potentially coming up. Obviously, Powell did really well to get the goal. It was a really nice finish into the bottom corner. Again, keeper probably should have done a bit better, but in general, that game, he did a really good job of helping to anchor the midfield in our shape and formation. Sam Collins as well, he was playing kind of in that Zinchenko role, I guess. Maybe initially it looked like he was going to play off the left, but he kind of drifted inside and played in the pocket of space in that number 10 area. And he did a really good job of looking really busy, won a few tackles, just threw himself about a little bit. And I think he's definitely, again, he's probably got quite a good, big future at the club. And Farrell Johnson as well. Personally, for me, I was the most impressed with just because I probably saw the most of him. In the first half especially, he's playing on the left of our back three, and he's a really graceful player. He's a big guy, he's a big centre-back, but he does a really good job of bringing the ball out into that left-hand channel and helping progress the play through passing and ball carrying. And I think, again, especially with some of the injuries we've had in defence this season. He could potentially get a shout later down the line next season, or at least play in the under-23s. You feel like he's at least ready for that next step up. For me on the day, the main issue that I saw the squad really had was the lack of width in the team. The formation was kind of like a 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2 kind of formation. And the real width that we've got in the team was either from the strikers splitting wide, which didn't really suit their game, or from the wing backs, which was fine on the left, but on the right we had a left footer player on that side, which meant he naturally kind of wanted to come inside and help create chances from there. And the centre backs weren't pushing too highly, particularly on the right hand side, and that natural and that lack of width on the right hand side was definitely an issue for the boys. You could see that we could spring forward on the counter attack, we just couldn't stretch them wide enough where we could really create high quality opportunities. We had a few good chances, but not really very many high quality opportunities on the day. But yeah, that was just me doing some analysis of the 18s FA Cup final. It was nice to be there, had a really good time up in the away end in the East Stand, and to be fair, 7k fans in the middle of the week for an under 18s match. Like, Forest fans have done themselves well, and to be fair, United fans, although most of them are probably tourists, they still took, I think, about 60,000 of their own fans to the match in their own right, so fair play to them as well as guests. But yeah, we're going to transition now into that Sheffield United match and start talking about how they got on this season. Okay, then let's kick things off, talk about Sheffield United and start talking about how they're doing this season and how they finished up at the end of the Championship campaign. Since we last checked in with them, I think it was a couple of months ago, that last match preview we did in that 2-2 draw at Bramall Lane. Well, overall, they finished the season in 5th position, 5 points and 1 place behind the Reds in the playoffs, thus setting up this clash. And both games against each other this season did end in draws, a 1-1 draw at the City Ground and a 2-2 draw at Bramall Lane, in which Ryan Yates scored a late dramatic header, which I think in the context may be one of the biggest goals of the season over the course of it, just because it really upticked momentum and we were on a really good run of form after that culminated in that loss to Luton only a couple of weeks ago. That being said, it will be a difficult game. Sheffield United only lost 1 of their last 6 games, winning 3 in the process, and that defeat only coming a few weeks back, although in the hands of Reading, who aren't exactly the best of teams, so there is the opportunity there. They did start the season under Slavisa Jokanovic, who was promoted to the Premier League twice with Watford and Fulham respectively over the last half decade or so, although they did sack him 19 games into his tenure, having just picked up 6 wins over the beginning of the season. He was replaced by Paul Heckingbottom, a man who over the course of his career at Sheffield United has taken charge of them on a few occasions. It looks like he's going to be the man for the job long term, especially if he can get them into the Premier League, having picked up 52 points from 81 available in his 27 games in charge of the club. And of course, they are looking to bounce back to the Premier League at the first time of asking, with a squad containing a large core of the players that managed to help them finish 8th in their first season in the Premier League and unfortunately finished 20th in their second season. And to be fair, although they are playing us, they are a very decent side and they are fully capable of getting back up to the first division whenever they need to. Okay, with that section wrapped up, we're going to start talking now about the quantifiables. How good are Sheffield United this season actually under the hood? Let's talk a bit about the stats and what makes Sheffield United apparently the 5th best team in the second division. Well, a big part for the reason of that is that they have retained a large core of that squad that finished 8th in the Premier League in their first season and unfortunately got relegated last season. There are swathes of Premier League experience in there, and actually quite a few former Forest players in there as well, in the form of Jack Robinson and Ben Osborne as well. It's pretty weird to see that. And going forward this season, goals have not been an issue whatsoever for the Blades, having scored 63 goals over the course of the 46 games of this campaign. Good enough to finish 5th in the league for goals scored, with their top goal scorer being Billy Sharp on 14 goals. And they're also able to create a decent amount of chances, around the same as Forest per match, around 12 shots per match, ranking them in the top 5 for teams in the Championship this season. And arguably defensively, they're even better. They concede the 3rd least shots per match in the league over the course of this Championship campaign, with around 9, and have the 4th best defence in the Championship this season, with 45 goals conceded behind ourselves, Fulham and Bournemouth respectively. And this is to be expected. Their number 1 goalkeeper, Wes Foderingham, has played just 32 league games this season. He's not played all their games, but he has been their number 1 over the course of this season and has maintained a 75% save percentage over the course of those league games, ranking him very highly in the Championship Championship, and a big reason as to why they have the 4th meanest defence in the league this season. However, the biggest issue that could be faced by Sheffield United this season is the amount of injuries that they're picking up, particularly in their forwards. 3 of their first choice forwards are out apparently for this game: Billy Sharp, Ryan Brewster and Ollie McBurney, and actually some injuries in the defence as well. Jack O'Connell, who missed pretty much all of last season as well, and Jayden Bogle on the left hand side of that defence as well, both out with injuries. And particularly in that forward line, those 3 have combined for a third of Sheffield United's goals this season, and they don't really have a number 9 in that squad. One man though who may be looking to add some firepower to the front line of that Sheffield United attack is, according to Who Scored at least, the best player for Sheffield United over the course of this season, Wolves loanee Morgan Gibbs-White. The youngster has 11 goals and 9 assists over the course of this championship campaign, playing more as an attacking midfielder than maybe he has in recent years, although apparently he could play as a number 9 in this game, which certainly will be interesting to see. We can really see how you could see that he's really flourishing in that attacking position, taking around 2.5 shots per match and creating 1.5 chances per match for his teammates. He is, attacking wise, one of the most important players in that Sheffield United team, and has shown his flexibility should he go back to Wolves in the summer. He's played centre mid, attacking mid, all up and down the right hand side of that attack as well, and you can really see that he could potentially play Premier League football next season, or certainly find himself bouncing back to an upper end Championship club to get a little bit more experience next season. Okay then, so we've talked a little bit about the stats under the hood, we've talked a bit about how Sheffield United actually are doing this season, so let's talk about what Forest fans can expect on the day. A little bit on the tactics side of Sheffield United. I'm by no means the authority on this kind of stuff, but just by watching some of their highlights in recent weeks and based on how they've played in recent seasons as well, it's pretty clear how Sheffield United want to play their matches. And that is predominantly through using a 3 at the back system, something perpetuated by former manager Chris Wilder during his time at the club, and it does seem best suited to match and get the best out of the talent available at the club at the moment. The width in this team comes from the wing backs, who are able to push forward and help create overloads in the final thirds, but as much as that influence as Wilder has shown in the team, the centre backs also can push forward and overlap as and when necessary. Maybe not as aggressively as they were doing under Chris Wilder, but the fact that all 3 of their ball playing defenders, like I say, are very comfortable on the ball, playing out from the back, there is the opportunity there to create overloads, particularly in the wide areas and in the half space, by having the centre back step up. Both Sheffield United and Forest, to be fair, have ball-playing defences we both look to build out from the back, whether that's them in a more possession-oriented style or us playing a more direct counter-attacking system. All 3 of our centre-backs, respectively, are very comfortable on the ball. Our centre-backs may be looking more to play into the channels. Their centre-backs looking to push up, create overloads, and maintain possession in the high and wide areas of the pitch where obviously your opposition can't score from. As a side, they are also in the top 5 of Championship sides for completed crosses per match, and are also in the top 5 for teams this season for headed shots at 2.5 per match, and that's really indicative of the way in which they want to play. Again, they use the centre-backs, they use the wide players to push the ball high and wide into the final third, put the ball into the box, and really all of their striking options are very comfortable at finishing off in the air. They're also very good at getting the ball to the byline and cutting it back for players to finish. I feel like maybe they'll lean into that a little bit more, lacking that normal predatory number 9 like a McBurney or a Ryan Brewster or a Billy Sharp, playing probably Illiman and DA and Morgan Gibbs-White up front. It's likely they'll probably look to cut the ball back from the line, quite similar to how Man City attack in that way. They are also one of the most possession-heavy teams in the Championship this season, ranking in the top 3 for possession over the course of this season, around 59%. For context, Forest sort of sit around 50%. We don't see too much of the ball in our matches, so expect to see Forest ourselves looking to counter-attack on them and get the ball from point A to point B as quickly as possible through what has been our usual methods of attacking this season. And I've mentioned over the course of this video how good their defence has been over the course of this season, and they have only conceded 4 goals in their last 6 games and have kept the second most clean sheets in the league with 20 this season. They are one of the best defences in the league, as are we, so I wouldn't expect too many goals over the course of the 2 legs. I think this is going to be a battle of attrition, and certainly at Bramall Lane I think it's going to be a tight one. Again, keep repeating myself, just going over the key themes here, but injuries have played a huge part in their run-in late in the season. Obviously the injuries to Billy Sharp, McBurney and Ryan Brewster this season, 3 players who've combined for around a third of their goals in the league this season, is massive. And with Gibbs White and DA probably going to be the front 2 in that match, you could potentially see the issues arising there that maybe a lack of a orthodox number 9 could cause them some problems in build-up. Overall, as I think you probably would expect, this is going to be a game contested predominantly in the wide areas of the pitch, and it will basically come down to who can maintain the control in the wide areas, whether Spence and Johnson on the right and probably Colback and Zinchenko on the left for us can combat what is quite an aggressive, wide, stretched team in Sheffield United. Of course, it sounds obvious, but it's going to be essential that all our players win their individual battles on the day as well. Brennan Johnson in particular, he's not going to get a lot of touches and he's not going to get a lot of time on the ball with how aggressive the pressing of the Sheffield United side is. So it's going to be important that he really stretches them as wide as possible, makes them really clever runs that he does from that right half space, and I think that's going to be the best way in which to stretch this defence and create openings for Surridge and Zinchenko as well, hopefully. And that's just a general theme, I think, for this team: creating space, creating as much overload as we can, stretching the Sheffield United team as wide as possible. Garner's influence in the midfield is going to be pretty important as well. Obviously, as you stretch teams, it creates space in the middle, and Garner is one of the best operators in space in the team we have, definitely in terms of getting the ball forward and playing through balls. It could be important in the way we attack. So overall, I'm going to suggest this game is going to finish as a 1-1 draw. I've done it, I've said it, it's going to be a draw. We're going to have to take a draw back to the City ground in my mind. I think it's probably the best result we can expect. I certainly think it's going to be very difficult for us to beat them away from home, having drawn both games this season against Sheffield United. That being said, attacking wise, they have a lot of their goals missing from their squad, and defensively, even though we slipped up the last couple of games of this season, we have been probably, I would say, the best defensive side in the league this season. It's going to be very hard for them to carve openings, and they're not exactly the most prolific side without those attacking threats in their team. As always though, let me know in that comment section down below who you think is going to be the man of the match and what you think the scoreline is going to end up being at Bramall Lane. What scoreline do you think we're going to be taking back to the world famous City ground for our second leg of that semi-final? And in general, do you think we're going to make it to the Premier League? Do you think we're going to make it to that final and eventually into the Premier League? I'm feeling pretty bullish about this Forest team. I'm very happy Middlesbrough missed out, obviously meaning that Jed Spence can play in both semi-final legs and in the final. And I do feel like Sheffield United, of the teams available there, I definitely would have rather faced them than Huddersfield or Luton Town, but as always, let me know in that comment section down below. And if you're new around here and whilst you're down there, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel whilst you're down there. And hopefully, Reds, you enjoy the game, you enjoy your weekend. I will be back on Monday night for the second leg preview. Until then, I will catch you later.